Teen board meeting for Benicia Unified School District to order. Mrs. Jensen, please do roll call.
President Ferrucci.
Here.
Trustee Holguin.
Here.
Trustee Monette. Trustee Morgan.
Here.
Trustee Wing.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to move forward with our closed session. Oh, no, wait a minute. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance first, and then we'll report. Closed session first? Okay. Our closed session results regarding our student management, yes.
6. Do you vote to uphold the recommendation of the committee, or is there a change?
We are going to make a move to accept the recommendation of the committee.
Okay, and that's a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, now would everybody please join me and stand and join me for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All these little faces popped up.
Okay, I'd like to call for an approval of the agenda from our meeting.
I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, let's move on to highlights. Dr. Young.
Thank you very much.
Odyssey of the Mind team.
Very good. So welcome, students. We're glad that you're here, and we can't wait to hear about Odyssey of the Mind. But I'd like to take a moment and invite Carrie Todd and Amy Cerna. Come on up. Amy, you want to get Amy? Amy. You'll get her. Thanks. So, Carrie, thank you. We just want to recognize your help with Odyssey of the Mind.
Well, thank
you
you.
very much. Yeah. And then we would just ask if you maybe just introduce the program and the students, and then we can give them a few minutes to present.
Okay,
Right.
I think they're going to do it themselves.
Okay. You want a little intro? Just Odyssey of the Mind and what it is?
Yeah, but they're going to do that.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, good. Very good. There she is. All right, so you guys, you'll introduce me?
Yeah, come on up to the mic for the introduction. Just whoever's speaking.
Odyssey of the Mind is a competition that requires creativity and thinking outside of the box. It has two components, a long-term problem and a spontaneous problem. The long-term problem will be worked on for around 5 months before being presented to a panel of judges. Every year, there are 5 new long-term problems you can choose to solve. Some problems are engineering-based, where you have to build a structure out of balsa wood that can support large amounts of weight, while others are performance-based. The spontaneous problem, which can either be verbal, hands-on, or verbal hands-on, is given to you at the competition. Unlike the long-term problem, you don't know what your problem is before you compete. The judge will read you your problem and give you 1 to 6 minutes to think, depending on the type of problem. Then your team will respond. A verbal spontaneous could be everyone creatively answering the question, form a sentence using night, like the time of day, and night, like a knight in shining armor. A hands-on could be building the tallest possible structure out of only marshmallows and toothpicks. For a long-term problem, we chose Interstellar Hangout. The idea was that a family was playing a board game, and we included the requirements necessary. Our skit and our spontaneous problem scores were high enough for us to take first place at the regional competition and move on to state. At state, we placed 8th.
And as a team, we'd like to say thank you for your financial and moral support to let us go on that awesome journey to state. So thank you.
No. Board games are a popular pastime for many people around the world, providing endless fun and getting standards all play. But what we don't realize is that within each board game, the little game pieces are living their own lives. What we take for a simple fun activity is really the lives of the board game pieces playing out. And if you look a little closer, you might be able to see what's really going on. Here, we have an Earth family playing a board game.
Hey there, kiddos, want to play a board game?
Aw man, another one? A board game? Why play board games when we can just play Alien Blast or Shoot Shoot?
No, I have a feeling about this one. It's really going to be fun.
Well, alright.
Okay, guys, let's choose our characters.
I want the purple one. I call red.
Okay, I guess that means I'm the black one.
This board game is called the Great Space Race. It takes place in the Great Space Base, which is a recreational center famous for its annual competition. Aliens from all over the galaxy come here to hang out and have fun. But once a year, a special competition takes place. In this competition, 3 aliens are racing towards an awesome treasure. The treasure changes every game, which is what makes the game so fun. As the people in the real world, we're choosing which game pieces to use. The people in the real world, we're choosing which must participate.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, aliens and robots, creepy and crawling. Welcome to the 4,907,342nd Annual Great Space Race. I'm sure you all know each and every one of you is eligible to participate, however, only 3 can be chosen. You'll each be receiving a box of space that is cooked and patented by our very own Great Space chef. A galaxy renowned, by the way. If you're lucky enough to get one of the boxes with a yellow key in it, that means you're one of our lucky winners and get to participate. Now, we'll each be cracked open your box at the count of 3. 1, 2, and 3.
I got one!
Me too!
I got one!
Alright, now will the 3 winners please step forward and tell the audience a little bit about yourself and what planet you're from.
Hi, I'm Larry, Prince of the planet Long. My planet is a planet of geniuses, and I'm way more superior than these guys. I've gained the ability to levitate and use telekinesis through intense studying and training. I'll beat all these hooligans.
Okay, and our next contestant?
My name is Senor El Blobbo from the planet Blobopolis. I may not be as smart as Floating Head over there, but I'm still gonna win this.
Okay, and our last contestant.
My name's Fluffykin from Planet Sparkle.
For those of you who didn't get chosen, you can still watch the competition live right here in our hangout. Trust me, it's really entertaining. And don't forget to buy some more space sticks.
I may not have gotten a golden key, but I'll still enjoy the live entertainment and space space. The board game is beginning. Our people in the real world are rolling the dice and moving the different piles on them. They draw cards with simple instructions on them, like go back 3 spaces. But each of these simple instructions is a much bigger occurrence in the lives of the board game players. Here we have player 1 on his way right now.
Whoa, what is this mysterious box? This could help me out big time. It looks like it's a Percussion-safe map, but I can't tell which way it goes, and I can't even read this. Well, I guess it can help me out in the long run. I guess I'll keep it with me.
What is that? I'll just use my levitation powers to check. It says, drink me. It looks like I found the elixir potion that will help me win the game. Nobody's stopping me now. Oh man, I got a potion of slow.
A person in the real world just drew a card that said you had to go back 3 spaces, and you got to see what really happened.
What's this?
It says, congratulations, you have found a disco dagger. You can use this weapon to sabotage your enemies. Throw it at an opponent and watch as they helplessly begin to dance. Use it correctly and you can make an enemy lose a lot of time. Awesome!
Hey, step aside. I'm gonna win this thing.
Hey, that's not very nice. Eat this.
Oh no! What's happening?
Hey, Carolyn, this is the Great Space Race, not Dance Dance Revolution. See you later, Beyonce. I'm on my way to win.
But I can't stop!
I think I'm in the lead. I might really win this thing.
Wow. I'm exhausted after all that dancing. All I have is a stupid person-sitting map that I can't even read. I'm not gonna win this anyway. So, what was that? Oh, I guess it was nothing.
Whoa! Did someone say they needed a map? Nope. Well, I'm here anyway. George Perry Southwood, life map officer. You call me GPS Southwood. I know Terry like the back of my hand. Or the front of my hand. We're getting off topic here. I'm here to help you for a price. But all I have is this happy face gift here. I saw that stuff. Get yours today. I'm bottled. Come on. What's that over there? You don't want to touch that. That'll make you move backwards. And watch out for that police chief over there. It doesn't look like you have any get out of jail free cards up your sleeve. Come on, we're almost here. Wow, I made it. But where is everybody? I want my treasure.
Not so fast, player.
Your final destination is down the left. For 4 million years, I tried to claim the treasures of the great space race, but never chose them. So I hacked my way into the server and stopped the final contest from claiming the treasures of the great space race, and now I will do the same to you. So, let's not fight. Let's do something a little different. How about the wrap up, yeah? But I'm your wrap up. Well, hello. My name is Wes. People like Luther come up. So poor little kid, I'll put you through rest. I am the exterminator you love. And yes, I am really great. And it seems like, well, I am your fate. So let me be honest. Here's how it will go. I will destroy you and be a John Doe. Oh! The rap was really bad. I didn't like it at all. After this is over, you're giving me the phone. We're talking about lines. There's you and there's me. It's like you're a star, and I'm a galaxy. Your raps aren't smart like a brain made of lead. Everyone's dead, baby's dead. You against me. It's not even fair. That's why wait, what's that over there? Ah, loser. Congratulations, you won the Great Space Race. I'm sure you're dying to see your treasure, and here it is. Awesome! A vacation to one human lifetime. But what does that even mean? That means you'll be reborn on a new place called Earth. Where I'm from, actually. I have to wear this fast to fit in here. It's a wonderful place, and you can start your vacation just coming this way. Keep your key handy, that's how you get back.
Wait, was that freestyle or did you guys like come up with that?
Yeah.
Never mind.
Good job. Nice job. Yeah, well done. Who was doing the percussion? Nice. You did a good job. Oh, really? He was good.
Oh no, don't lose the people. That was amazing. Thank you again. You know what I think would be great too, if at some point our high school Odyssey of the Mind students could present or share with the middle school and the elementary school so they could kind of see where they're going and what their expectations are. I got to see the little ones in the competitions and they look kind of starstruck, but this would be absolutely an amazing experience for them to be able to see where they're going and how exciting it is as we get to high school. Hooray. Thank you for sharing again. Okay, we now have our student reports.
Yeah, ladies first. Thank you. All right, so I'm Dahlia El-Ghanemi, and this is Ashlyn Smith, and we're the ASB Public Relations Commissioners at Benicia High School. We are filling in for Alex Torres and Christian Chavez. So I'm just going to update you on Benicia High School. Last week was our first multicultural week where we celebrated cultural diversity by serving food from various cultures and inviting cultural dance groups to perform for the students. We brought Tahitian dancers, Middle Eastern dancers, and Mexican dancers.
Our student staff basketball game is currently happening, which is why our usual speakers are not here right now. Seniors are playing against their favorite teachers and staff members, so we'll see who wins.
I think it's the staff. All right, prom is coming up on April 28th, and this is the last week for students to buy tickets. The theme is A Night in Paris, and the dance will be taking place at the Metreon in San Francisco.
The first week of May will be our Staff Appreciation Week. We're planning to purchase small gifts and serve food to our staff members who do so much for us.
After that, AP testing starts, so students are beginning to study for their AP tests, which they've been preparing for all year. Teachers are really going out of their way to help students, and they're spending a lot of time like after school and during lunch. They're doing a lot more than is expected of them to make sure that students get good scores, and we are very grateful for that.
Following AP testing, Benicia High School will be hosting its first annual Color Vibe Run, where students and community members will run an approximate 2-mile course through colored powder. After running, participants will be able to enjoy a small carnival, including food, music, and games.
That's it.
All right. My name's Trevor. I go to Liberty High.
I'm Piper. I go to Liberty High as well.
Last week we had a great week with the workshops. It included interviews and challenging coworkers, just like this would help you get a job and keep the job. And students created a better interview, like mock interview. We had 34 students who went to that.
The 2017-2018 Liberty Yearbook has been completed and submitted for printing.
Yesterday we hosted our 4th annual golf tournament fundraiser at Blue Rock Springs Golf Course. It was well attended and a smashing success.
On Wednesday, staff from the Solano County Office of Education visited Liberty to observe and give feedback on our restorative justice circles.
On Wednesday, staff from the Solano County Office of Education. What? Oh, I'm on that one. Leadership is in the initial phases of planning for our spring field day to celebrate the ending of the school year.
Liberty High School students will be volunteering at the Community Action Council Spring Fashion Show on Wednesday, 4/25.
Today at Liberty started the CAA SPP testing. Testing will continue for the next 2 weeks.
Finally, Liberty High School students will be volunteering at the Community Earth Day cleanup this Saturday, 4/21. Thank you.
Yeah.
Students, thank you very much for your report. You got a lot.
There wasn't any cheating on in the golf, was there? No. Job, guys.
I got 2nd place.
You got 2nd place?
Yeah.
Nice. Well done. All right. Thank you. Thanks. Well, good evening, trustees. Thank you, students. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Good evening. Just a couple of items from me, just to point out that this is a really busy time of the year for us, that we're engaged in the current work and doing great things for kids, and then getting ready for next year. So there's a lot of things that are involved in that, including interviewing for positions. We're doing that. Dr. Gill is doing that with her team and filling several key positions throughout the district. So good work there. Other important things that are happening too. Testing is SBAC testing is happening. The AP test. We're also given the REACH survey again. That window is open, I think, for a couple of weeks. So we're giving that at the middle and high school to continue that good work. Some other good news. Dr. Gill put together a leadership academy, which was very nicely structured. Dr. Gill is at the Pay Unit Appreciation, and she did a very nice job of putting that together. and exploring a number of key leadership themes throughout the course of the year. And then she pitched that out to a number of employees who classified and certificated. They were able to attend that. So we had the last session, like it was last week, right? And it was excellent. So well done. Thank you for that good work. And then also, as we go forward, this time of year is busy as we're wrapping up negotiations, so we can put that to bed as we move into next year. And also, I wanted to point out that we got some news, nationally, that the Columbine event, that the remembrance of that is on Friday, and some news with some kids in some schools throughout the nation may be organizing a walkout, and so Ms. Kleinschmidt with her team has done a really nice job working closely with the kids to try to get information for them regarding whether or not they think they will do that. And so what Ms. Kleinschmidt did is she put out a very nicely written letter to the parents, just letting them, and staff, letting them know about the possibility of this. We're not absolutely sure, but what this looks like, that if kids leave campus without an excuse, they're marked absent. So this is something that parents need to be very aware of. There it is. That's it from you, Superintendent.
Thank you very much. Are there any board reports?
I attended the Matthew Turner auction. It was very well done. I realized it was my 10th auction, and Jake's last year, so at Matthew Turner. So it was bittersweet, but it was really well done and well attended, and I hopefully raised a lot of money for the school.
Mr. Wing? Just going
straight in line. Okay. During spring break, I had lunch with our maintenance guys and participated in their briefing while all the teachers and non-maintenance, custodial, and IT were enjoying the week off. They were working, but they also did a disaster drill, shelter in place, as if first drill was a major earthquake, and they actually walked through all the sites and ID'd where shutoffs were to gas and electric and everything on the facility. So the custodial maintenance knew where everything was, how to shut everything off. And then they did a shelter in place as if the refinery close by here in town had a major incident and we had to do a shelter in place. They went completely through how to shelter in place, shut off all the ACs, how to protect the staff and everybody while, if it happened during school time. So that was a good time, a good learning, because several of the people who's been at the sites for a long time did not know where the major shutdowns and shutoffs and how to, so that was a complete walkthrough at each site. So that was really good. I got to come in and hand out certificates for Dr. Gill did a administrative leadership course. How many weeks was that? 6 or 7. So we had 28. I got to come to the last night and hand out certificates, and that was nice to see that people are interested in moving up in leadership, and it was nice to for that. So thank you for that, and thank you for those who chose to take that course. Good. Just a we got BEF run. I'm going to steal this from you this time.
Yeah, gonna get it.
BEF run is this Sunday?
Sunday.
And still need volunteers on the course. So if you got a couple hours to give for that. Grad night's coming up the second weekend in June, and we still need about 75 volunteers for grad night. So if you're interested in helping a grad night, that's BeniciaGradNight.net, and sign up for volunteers for that. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
The only thing I would add is that I was honored to be able to speak on behalf of the board at the March for Our Lives on March 26th. And it was kind of heart-wrenching to do because I followed all the student presentations and they were just absolutely amazing. And I was very proud of our students and their work on this project, and happy to be able to support them in that.
Thank you.
That we that was quite a powerful event. We had a number of Venetians, walking down First Street. It's great. And I was walking next to Dr. Hogan, and she had her letter that she was going to that she had nicely crafted and was going to read. But I noticed that when you went up there and you were listening to the nature of what people were saying in the presentations, you were responsive and you adjusted like on the spot. And so that well done.
Thank you.
Okay, well, just a couple of quick updates. First of all, I want to thank the parent and the community members who were reaching out to me for information. If you recall, I shared that I was going to Sacramento for a state legislative day with our local legislators. So I want to say thanks to the parents that did connect with me. I was able to put out summaries of information for each of the bills and proposals that were being discussed so that they were able to support our district and write letters on our behalf. So I was really excited and really pleased about that. It was a great day. Our legislators were very receptive, and we talked a lot about the full and fair funding bill, which we have been discussing that we really need. For those of you that are unaware, it's a bill that raises the base and the LCAP. Actually, it's on the floor right now being discussed. It's AB 2808, so we're looking forward to the results of that conversation, and hopefully they pass it. This week, I just made a couple of quick stops. I was in at the middle school. I had a chance to sit in an 8th grade class and observe a reading workshop demonstration that was going on. It was kind of fun, and I found myself really wrapped up in the book myself, and then getting to talk to some of the kids. So it was really great to see, and so it kind of felt like, hey, I could do this again. So it was fun, and I want to thank Mrs. Fields for inviting me to her classroom because I was watching her lesson being set up. I also visited Farmer. I didn't get too far. I got into the office and I was surrounded by fire and police because they were having a fire drill. So I got to watch them do a fire drill. It was like, okay, fine. So anyways, it was really well organized, and I appreciated the support from our maintenance crew that was out there, as well as our local support from the city. And then real quickly, I went to the district curriculum committee today, and I know we're going to hear from Mrs. Rice and Dr. Beatson. They were discussing the sharing of data, and I see some teachers right in the front row that were there as well. We talked about the data and next steps with the use of the data, and also PD ideas for, I can't believe this one was really blowing my mind, 2018-19. And then we also talked about the safety training that is coming forward and some other suggestions and scenarios and what that could look like as well. So I appreciated that conversation was occurring, and that's also something that we're going to brainstorm. So anyway, so that was my visit as well. So with that said, I think it's time to move on. Okay, so we're going to move into comments from members of the public at this point. And just a reminder, members of the public may address the board on any item within the board's jurisdiction. Cards which may be completed requesting to address the board are available at the back table and may be submitted to the board secretary at the meeting. The governing board allows speakers to speak on agendized and non-agendized matters under public comment. Comments are limited to no more than 3 minutes per speaker. By law, no action may be taken on any item raised during the public comment period, and matters may be referred to staff for placement on a future agenda of the governing board. Okay, with that said, I have a couple of blue cards already sitting next to me. Is that Jenny Monto? Monto, okay. And actually behind Jenny will be William. Is that Bergs? Berg? Okay.
Hi, my name is Jenny Monzo. I am here today representing the Benicia Arts Now community. We are a coalition of stakeholders from diverse sectors of our community, coming together with the shared goal of advocating for arts education. Our members consist of business owners, art organizations, parents, teachers, students, just to name a few. And our mission is to promote and support art education throughout the Benicia Unified School District from pre-K all the way through to 12. We believe that a quality arts education is an essential component of a complete educational experience. This is art education advocacy at the community level because it affects the entire community. Even if a student doesn't become an artist or a performer, the skills that arts education provides helps all students to succeed in school and in life. I'm here today to introduce our group, but also to invite you to join in the conversation. We want to work with you, the board, the district, and the schools and the teachers to ensure that every student, regardless of socioeconomic status, background, or ability, will have the opportunity to participate in and thrive through the arts. On May 18th, we're going to have our first official launch breakfast, and we will like to invite the entire school board to attend. We will have student speakers, student performers. We'll have artwork displayed, and we'll also have an opportunity to discuss with the entire community what we can do to bring arts education starting from the pre-kindergarten all the way through to our district. If possible, we would love to sit down before the meeting if you have any questions with what our group is, who we're partnering with, and the other businesses that we're working with to achieve our goals. So I'd just like to thank you again for allowing me to introduce you to the Benicia Arts Now community, and we look forward to working with you and to everybody to help us get arts education and to improve the lives of our children in the city. Thank you.
Jenny. If staff or board members are interested in learning more about your kickoff, where would we find that information?
The board should have, I passed out some information that has the flyer, that's our information with the email, and then the other two are just information on arts education and the different studies that have shown how it improves the lives of children. So if you want to get hold of me, there's the email on there, that's the Benicia Arts for All. And let's yes. All right, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, William Berg. And the next one will be Palma Parker.
Hi. Kind of got here on short notice, so I had to kind of throw together a lot. I recently went to a meeting at the Benicia Middle School with Carolyn Patton and the principal, Damian Scott. And we were there to discuss the pending termination of the resources program at Benicia Middle School in next year. We're not quite sure how it's going to flesh out, and it was part of the discussion. I'm a father of 3 children and a small business owner, 2 small businesses here in town. My oldest has Down syndrome. He's had a very successful run at Robert Semple due to the incredible staff, and are advocating for him and advocating for a lot of changes at Robert Semple, which we think we helped implement and support. We think Bonnie does a fantastic job, Ramirez, in supporting the SDC classes, but she also has to act as a, if you will, inclusion specialist for the kids that are in the general education population. From what we understand, and we're trying to wrap our minds around, it seems like they're going to, as they have done already in the high school, eliminate the resources program and make it either SDC or general education. Our concern is that although our child is thriving in that, he still has resources, and SDC is a fallback. The metaphor I used in the meeting was, we want our kid to swim in the deep end, but we like knowing there's a shallow end that he can relax and take a breather before he heads back into that. When you only have the kiddie pool and the deep end, it seems like there's not that safety net that we think our children and some of the other kids coming up into the school have been able to thrive with. So we're trying to understand a little bit and wondering if there's going to be a format to discuss this further. I've done just the beginning of the research, but from what I understand, there is, and I don't like to speak for teachers that I have not personally spoken to, but there has been some pushback from the teachers at the high school that as they've seen the implementation of this new program without the resources, and I'm just wondering how much, what forum we can have, for example, to discuss this further before this, what seems to be a preordained decision, is fully implemented at Benicia Middle School as well. From what I understood, there was even a suggestion that it was a rollout where maybe 8th graders first, 1 year, then 7th graders and 6th graders, but it feels a little bit like pulling the rug out from under our kids, and I'm greatly concerned about it. So I just came to express my opinion about that today, and perhaps see if we can find a way to put that on the agenda and have a maybe closer discussion with the teachers and parents of those children that will be into the school system and are already there. Okay?
LaPaula Parker, and then after LaPaula will be Liam Madigan.
Question.
Mag-
Charles,
I'm sorry,
could
question.
we get that, follow up on that and let us know what, and have you talked with Carolyn Patton here? That's, oh, okay. Okay. Because you're not at the podium where everybody can hear you, but I'm asked staff to follow up on that, and if Carolyn has your contact information, and that way we could find out too. Thank you.
Sorry.
It's okay. Hello, my name is LaPaula Parker, and I'm a junior at Benicia High School, and I came today to stress the urgency of giving Benicia High School teachers appropriate compensation for all the work they provide for their students. So throughout my time at Benicia High, I've not only received some of the best education, but I've been instilled with life lessons that I will carry on in my future endeavors. My sophomore year, I was blessed to have Edward Coyne as a mentor for AP Euro, and I was also fortunate to have Mr. Sinatz for chemistry. Coyne and Sinatz both would go above and beyond to help their students, as many other teachers at Benicia High continue to do. Many teachers like Coyne and Sinatz maintain an open-door policy for going over AP material, writing practice tests, answering millions of questions that their students have. The teachers continue to stay till dark to help students in need, and many spend weekend time grading essays from 3 to 5 AP classes. To put that in perspective, that is about 100 or more essays during their weekend time. There are many more teachers who hold the same work ethic and care for their students. The resources, after-school help, lunch guidance, weekend review sessions are all valuable things that will thwart the success of our students if removed. Although many of the teachers do not want to get rid of these things, they will if they are not acknowledged for their outside work. The problem is serious and will affect many students. The Benicia High teachers have good hearts, and we have constantly seen them put the care and well-being of their students above their own well-being and mental health. Teaching is one of the most noble professions that shapes a person's character, future, and mind. If the Benicia Unified School District truly cares about the future and well-being of their students, they will pay the teachers what they deserve for all the extra time and hard work that they put in their students on the daily. Thank you.
Liam? While we're waiting for Liam to come up, it'll be Ariel Mandep after Liam.
Hi, my name is Liam Madigan, and today I come before you not only as a student, but as a product of the good school system that the city of Benicia enjoys. The vast majority of my accomplishments are owed to the teachers and mentors I've had throughout my life. And so I now find myself trying in any way I can to give back to all the wonderful people who have inspired so much in my life. And sadly, we all find ourselves fighting for something that should have been given to these people a long time ago. When teachers show up to school a good hour before school starts and stay long after school gets out, some even till 9 at night, it goes without saying that they should be given ample compensation. When teachers exhaust themselves trying to raise each and every student they have above and beyond the gold standard, it should go without saying that they deserve more pay. When teachers devote their lives to helping the future of America, it goes without saying that America ought to give back. The fact of the matter is that we have the resources to pay our teachers what is necessary and what they ask for, and yet, for some reason, we don't. When I say what I'm going to say next, know that I do not mean to disregard or discount all that the school board has done for our education. I know you may not get a lot of recognition all the time, but thank you for all the work that you've done. But ultimately, if those in power can't bring about the change we need, then we change the people in power. But I trust, hopefully, it will not come to this. This is no unique phenomenon. Across the nation, teachers are forced to go on strike and protest as they continue to be paid far less what is owed and far less what is realistic. It is discouraging that Benicia finds itself in the same boat. We should be far ahead of the curve. As many have said before, Benicia's houses aren't expensive because of our beautiful view of the refinery. People pay to live here because of the schools, but how long until they begin to think they've made the wrong decision? As much as I would love to play the blame game, I realize that this would accomplish nothing. So I come before all of you, the school board, begging you on behalf of Benicia, please help our teachers. There is no cost too high, no price not worth paying for a bright future that can be guaranteed to my fellow students. And none of this can be achieved without the teachers to guide us in the right direction. Because ultimately, you can't put students first if you put teachers last. Thank you.
Following Ariel, Olivia Contreras.
Good afternoon. My name is Avel Mandap, and I'm speaking in regards to you, the school board, deciding not to give the teachers in Benicia a raise. Because of this, the teachers feel that they aren't appreciated, which they are. Many teachers at Benicia High have decided to only work the minimum amount of hours they are assigned, which limits the students from free tutoring after school, free AP review sessions, and even letters of recommendation. As a sophomore at Benicia High, who strives to succeed in school, I realized that I wasn't understanding some of the topics in chemistry. Fortunately, my chemistry teacher, Mr. Sinotz, tutors for free after school for 3 hours on his own time. After numerous amounts of tutoring sessions, I'm proud to say that I received A's on my last board test in chemistry, and I attribute those all to Mr. Sinotz, who's at school from 7 a.m. till 6 at night working, so that we the students can do well. This isn't the only selfless teacher. All teachers, like Coach T, Mr. Day, Miss Voss, Mr. Martin, and Mr. Coyne, put in countless hours of their own time. And it's not like these hours don't yield success. Because of Miss Thompson and Mr. Coyne, the passing rates for AP American Studies in their classes range from 90 to 100%. Let it be known that the nationwide passing rate for that class was 48 to 50%. In addition, last year, Benicia High School received a Gold Ribbon Award for its Performing Arts Department, largely in part to the efforts of Mr. Martin and Mr. Day. We now see that students from our town are getting accepted into schools like Stanford, Yale, and Cornell due to the academic enrichment that our teachers provide. Our teachers work so hard to make sure that we can thrive. And if they feel that they are unappreciated and continue to work the minimum hours, it will only hurt the students. So, if you are really for the teachers and the students, I urge you to please give our dedicated teachers higher pay and better benefits. Thank you.
Next up is Olivia Contreras, and then following Olivia will be Carolyn Fields.
Hi, my name is Olivia Contreras, and I'm a sophomore at Benicia High School. I'm here today to talk about an issue that I feel strongly and that no action has been taken on. The District of Benicia's teachers have still received no raise, no more benefits, not even the opportunity to get paid for extra hours of work. It is not hard to see that this situation is wrong. Many teachers have stopped providing vital services to students in hopes of proving a point to you, the board, how much they really do. Teachers work far more and do far more than is required of them by their contracts. However, they do this because this is what the students require of them to be successful. As students, we cannot do this on our own. We need teachers. They are our most valuable resource. They are the backbone of our society. As members of the board, you represent our district, our schools, and most importantly, our students. The link between teachers and students is what makes a school work. You cannot have a school with no teachers and no students. We have been losing teachers like crazy, skilled teachers who are great at what they do and love what they do for the simple reason that they are not provided with the means to afford the cost of living for them and their families. Our high turnover rates are not okay. We deserve more than temporary teachers, and we deserve to keep the teachers we know and love. But we are losing them to money. It's a straightforward solution. Pay our teachers what they work for, and if you truly want to see a change in our school and statistics improve, you will focus on the people who can truly make a change in the classroom. This is something I am passionate about. It not only affects the teachers and their livelihoods, but my future. This is my education and my life. I know some of you on this board have kids who are or have been students, or you were teachers before you were part of the administration. So how did you get to this point and forget about us?
When you withdraw your support for teachers and make cuts to programs like our arts programs and AP classes, things that have made our school what they are, what give us our status as a gold ribbon school. To not fully appreciate our teachers' hard work and leave those extra hours after school and on weekends unpaid is simply unfair and ethically wrong. Some of you in the audience and on the board may remember me from the last meeting. Well, I'm here to tell you that I will keep coming back, keep talking about the same issues until there is something done. The generation of students that I am a part of will no longer stand by and let injustices occur. So board members, I ask you once again, prove our schools matter to you, prove our teachers matter to you, and as a student speaking, prove that we as people deserving of an education matter to you. Thank you.
Carolyn Fields, and then next, Ariane Whiting.
Hi, my name is Carolyn Fields. I teach at Benicia Middle School. I'm also BTA president. This memorandum that I'm about to read to you was signed by 204 of our unit members. This represents over 90% of the tenured teachers of Benicia Unified School District. Dear Board of Trustees, do I have my glasses? We, the undersigned members of Benicia Teachers Association, have composed this letter to express our dissatisfaction with the priorities and leadership in our district. Working at Benicia Unified has been for us a source of great pride. BUSD has always been a district where decisions were made on a collaborative basis with the best interest of our students in mind. Even in the worst financial times, the Benicia Teachers Association and BUSD have worked together to maintain the high caliber of teaching and learning our students deserve. We, however, no longer feel we're given the respect and support to achieve our goals. The yearly battles regarding raises and other contract issues have been demoralizing. Stressed teachers facing an uncertain financial future are not able to give their full talents and energy to their students. The current district leadership has demonstrated a pattern of unwillingness to listen to faculty and the community. During the 3 years of Dr. Young's leadership, BUSD has not negotiated a single employee-employer agreement without the involvement of a mediator. This school year, BTA has been forced into an even more extreme scenario, fact-finding. Dr. Young's assigned bargaining team has been unable to fulfill their duties as negotiators. Specifically, Dr. Gill and Mr. Rahill have perpetuated an extreme lack of transparency. Requests for information needed to accurately negotiate have been met with resistance and stalling. Even standard information requests have routinely taken over a month to fill. The association's repeated attempts to help Dr. Young see cost savings that could be made to the district budget have fallen on deaf ears. BTA leadership recently made Dr. Young aware that returning the teacher coaches and their teacher and the one teacher that we have on special assignment, or a TOSA, to their classrooms could instantly recoup the district approximately $400,000. Dr. Young decided to keep the teacher coaches and the TOSA. Dr. Young was asked not to refill the third vice principal position at BHS since the school functioned well in the past with only 2 vice principals and a much higher enrollment. Streamlining the administrative staff at BHS would have put approximately $100,000 back in the district coffers. The coordinator of educational services position was vacant this year. This is a fairly new position and not one that the teachers regard as essential. Dr. Young chose to fill this position even though it would have saved the district approximately $100,000. These suggestions and others have been ignored while teachers in the community are being told that there's no money for salary increases. Is it okay to finish? Okay. We do not want district leaders who continually choose to prioritize administration over teachers. Teachers work directly with students and have the greatest impact in the classroom. The lack of trust and feeling of being devalued has been fed by numerous unilateral executive decisions. One example was the decision that was made a year ago to change the high school graduation requirements. The families and teachers of Benicia Unified were forced into action to save the visual and performing arts program at Benicia High because Dr. Young, with little input from the parents and teachers, decided to make this change. Also at the high school, it was hastily decided to completely alter the delivery of special education services, which obviously has a dramatic impact on students and staff. These profound changes in working conditions were not discussed with the teachers union beforehand, and a demand to bargain had to be pursued. The people most affected were not even consulted until after the fact, which exemplifies the lack of regard this administration has for teachers and ultimately students. We, the undersigned BTA members, want to express our extreme dissatisfaction with current district leadership. We respectfully request that the board take action, prioritize your teachers, direct your negotiating team to settle a fair contract immediately.
Next up is Ariane Whiting and then Michelle Gaines. Oh, okay. Then Michelle Gaines, and then following Michelle is Lisa Honeycutt.
Hello, Michelle Gaines from the high school. I was here before for my speech and debate program, and I did sign the letter, and it was, at first with some reluctance, read it, considered it, and I guess the difficult part for me is I have felt very much the personal support of Dr. Young, and am supportive in response to his leadership. I see a lot of positive things about it. So, but when I did read it and take into consideration all the things that were on it, I felt it was a letter I could sign, and I didn't want to sign it just blindly. Anyway, I wrote to all of you today. I wrote a personal letter a note to Dr. Young and did copy you to share my ideas. But I feel like what's happening is maybe the bigger picture is with these present negotiations, if we do business as usual, it probably really is hard to make the numbers work. There'll be little change or probably no acceptable or viable solutions. So, as has been said already tonight, if you're serious about empowering our teachers with a living wage, we may not be able to do it, or you may not be able to do it with business as usual. Decisions about personnel, about outside programs that cost, and I don't pretend to know all these numbers, but when decisions are made about how and where to spend limited funds, we who are standing daily before these fine young people, we're the ones directly responsible for this endeavor to either be a success or a failure. And our relationship, I hate to see the wedge between leadership and teachers and administration and staff, district office and teachers when we're all in this for these young people. And I believe that. And I think that that's sincere on both sides of this. But our relationship can be harmonious or acrimonious. And if it's not harmonious, really, we just don't have what we need to go forward and do the job that needs to be done. So I feel like we can thrive together or splinter together. And if we fall into these parts and get, angry and bitter, then we just can't thrive, as I mentioned today in my note to you. And I think the teachers are very serious. They're standing together on this, is evidenced by this letter of no confidence. And our wages and benefits have to be competitive. Whatever adjustments you must make to ensure this, please do.
Lisa, and then Ann Lazo, and then Paula.
But is it Lisa first? Okay, sorry. I thought I couldn't hear because of the clap.
Hello, I'm Lisa Honeycutt, and I'm a teacher at Benicia High School. Because of the district's repeated inability to negotiate a contract with BTA for 3 years running, teachers will no longer be doing anything extra. The following is a list of services that current BUSD teachers have historically provided free of charge and will no longer do so. And give your devoted, hardworking teachers a fair contract, and the exceptional level of service this community has always enjoyed from its teachers will be restored. So at Benicia High School, here's a list of things we won't be doing. No AP review sessions will be offered. Typically 5 sessions per AP subject area were offered before. No afternoon school tutoring outside of math and English labs, which are paid positions. No grading on weekends or outside of contractual hours. No opening of classrooms during lunch for students to get academic assistance or for club meetings. No letters of recommendation for colleges. No subbing during our prep periods.
No research and development of new teaching practices, lesson plans, etc. for professional enrichment outside of our contracted hours. No faculty attendance at school or student activities, sporting events, concerts, etc. Right now there's a staff-student basketball game happening at the high school. This may be the last one. No attending committee meetings unless required as part of our extra duty hours obligation. And I'd also like to say that we had some great student speakers here today, and they're high schoolers. But where do those high schoolers get that confidence and that ability to speak in front of a board? It's kind of a scary thing. You know, we have to think about those kindergarten teachers and the second grade teachers and the fourth grade teachers and the seventh grade teachers. The kids didn't come to the high school and just magically blossom. It was a building experience. So just because you don't have sixth graders in here talking to you doesn't mean they wouldn't want to. They just might not be at that developmental stage yet. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Ann Lazo. I have twins in middle school. I attended the last meeting on March 1st, and I reached out to President Ferrucci on how can we give more money or get more money for the teachers. And she told me to, write to our legislators, campaign called Full and Fair Funding. So I reached out to my BMS PTSA group. I reached out to Neely at BHS, and she has BEF, and all the parents that I, ran into, soccer and all that. As I was doing this, I did kind of like some finance homework last week since I was paying my tax. So last Tuesday I paid my tax since it's not impounded. I feel like I found some money that maybe no one has ever asked or questioned. I'm pointing out to a bond measure from 1991, a school bond measure. On the left side of the Solano secured property tax, it reads 441 Benicia bond 1981 Series B. I paid this last week because it's not impounded against my mortgage. This is hard money that was collected last April 10, 2018. And the last time it was collected was December 10, 2017. This is a 25-year bond. This is the last payment. The residence I live in with my spouse and my kids amounted to $307.90, and our rental property amounted to $267.11, totaling at $534.22. Let's just take $250 out of that $534.22. You multiply that by 11,000 parcels. But in reality, Mario G., our director of economics from our city of Benicia, says we have nearly 14,000 parcels. When you take that, you actually get the dollar amount, $2,750,000, when you multiply 11,000 parcels from the $250 from that one measure. But remember, there's 14,000 parcels nearly. Yes, this is a one-time money I am seeing, but it's there. It should be sitting in the BUSD funds ledger. I asked Solano County Property Tax, and they said they have no business with this since it's a Benicia bond measure. I played phone tags with Andrea Hadley in January. I still have her voicemail on my cell phone, back and forth. Do I need to contact HUD? Because this is a housing question in finance. No one seems to answer me what this bond measure was. I have a feeling I know what it is, but I'd rather have you tell me, You may want to look into our 1997 school bond measure as well. This is when the market plummeted and then shot back. Cash management treasury services was negotiated with the city of Benicia Finance and BUSD Finance. When Measure S passed, which amounted to nearly $50 million, my home assessment decreased by $400. This is an assessment on the right side of your Solano secured property tax column. This has nothing to do with Zone 1 or other zoning. And the amount I am paying for this was nearly $400. So it balanced itself out. When the 1% origination of the cost of the house, with proposition, it can only be increased. But this is hard dollar money that's sitting there in BUSD ledgers. I mean, I call back and forth. Do I need to call HUD in Washington to do a finance, forensic finance accounting? Because it's only, I just want to be transparent.
You could call Mr. Rahill after hours and
I've emailed
explain
him.
to you that it's not coming to us.
No, I've called Solano County. I've emailed him. Thank you.
Paula Shanice, and then Suzanne James Peters and Joan Westerman.
Hello, everybody. My name is Paula Schneese, and I'm the proud parent of a sophomore student here that goes to BHS. I am here to support a later start time at Benicia High School. And I speak on behalf of the numerous members of the community, including teachers, parents, and students who also support later start times. I have a petition signed by over 150 people in this community who think that a later start time at Benicia High is the right thing to do for our teenagers. As you know, 2 years ago, the district hired an outside consultant, and together with teachers, parents, and students, formed a Schedule Advisory Committee, SAC, Schedule Advisory Committee. They spent countless of hours doing research, visiting other school sites to figure out how they could work on a bell schedule. They talked about block scheduling. They talked about an advisory, an access period, and also about later start times at Benicia High School. The board approved the block schedule. The board approved access period. The board did not approve a later start time, to the chagrin of this committee, which this was the recommendation for. Scientific evidence clearly shows that later start times in the teenage years is to the benefit of teenagers. Yet, we can't even get this on the board agenda, the school board agenda, to have a discussion about this. Many people don't feel that the board is taking this issue seriously enough and engaging the community about this. I was here back in January, and I had told the board how at the high school there was a 6-question survey going around to all the students at the high school, asking them about the schedule for this past year. What do you think about access period? Do you like block schedules? Should the times be longer? Should the times be shorter? Nowhere on that 6-question survey was there anything about, do you support a later start time? I brought this up to the board in January. I'm a parent at the school. I have not received one email to have this part of the discussion. Teachers, I didn't realize that you were going to all be here tonight. You heard some wonderful students speak very eloquently. Teachers should be paid, be one of the highest paid professions. You teach the next generation. So the board, I tried to get it on the agenda tonight. They couldn't happen, but they said that the teachers vote. The teachers are going to vote by May 1st about having this on next year's agenda. Please consider the students. They appreciate the teachers. Teachers, please take this into consideration with the students. It is the right thing to do. Thank you.
Suzanne James Peters, and then Joan Westerman.
Good evening. I'm Suzanne James Peters, and I'm a Benicia teacher. And I actually want to talk about a different topic tonight, and that is of safety. And I didn't plan on speaking, but I taught today. I worked during my lunch. I came right from school to a curriculum council meeting. And I'm here, so I really haven't even been home. This is just an example of what teachers do on a regular basis. But I want to talk about safety. It's something that's near and dear to my heart for many reasons. Both my children, who are 22 years old and will be graduating from college in May, have both been on lockdowns with shooters on campus. My husband, who teaches at DVC, has also had bomb threats and been on lockdown. If you've ever had to sit in a classroom with 27, 24, 8 or 9-year-olds during a lockdown drill, look in their eyes, see their worry, see their concern, see their confusion, see the fear in their eyes. You'll want safety first, too. I'm also lost my nephew to gun violence. He was 22 years old, the East Coast. This past 2 weeks, we've received numerous emails about a wonderful opportunity for our school district to have a consultants come and provide safety training. And I can't think of one teacher that I know that doesn't want that training. Yet there's this assumption that as teachers that we'll come after our work day in the evening and attend a volunteer training. Yes, we've been offered non-student pay rate to come 3:30 to 6:30 on the Friday after back to school night, the Friday before Memorial Day, and as a volunteer. And Dr. Patton, that's not good enough. What I hear from the teachers is we want safety training. We don't want it voluntary. We want it mandatory. We want every stakeholder there. Teachers, yard duties, secretarial staff. We want to be there. We want the training. We want it during a professional development day. I can't think of any other better professional development. I sat on a meeting today in Curriculum Council. This is the second time. And we do great work. And we're talking about providing training for the upcoming new science standards, which won't have curriculum for 2 years. I think safety comes first. We have an opportunity to provide it at the beginning of the school year. We have the opportunity to change our plan and provide it on September 3rd. I think that if we asked our parents, they would want every staff member there, not just volunteers. And we want to be respected and have it during our paid day, not to come in an evening after already been at back to school night, right before Memorial Day weekend. And I don't want to hear it secondhand from a colleague who could go, because maybe I couldn't. We want the exact same training. We don't want to have hearsay. We don't want to watch a videotape of it. We want to all be a captive audience, and we want to make our schools safe. We want to keep our children safe. We cannot do our best work without feeling safe. Thank you.
Have we missed any speakers? Oh, Joan Westerman, is she in? There she is.
Hello, I'm Joan Westerman, teacher at Benicia High School, and I too have come to talk to you about safety. I'm concerned. I think the students are concerned, and I believe that the faculty is concerned. I love it that we've had the guts to stand up for keeping our kids safe in the past. I very much appreciate what our superintendent has done and a couple of members of our school board in advocating to keep the cannabis out of Benicia. That took a lot of guts, and I appreciate that. I appreciate Brianna Kleinschmidt sending out an email to parents about La Migra with concerns of safety for our kids. It takes a lot of guts to stand up and do what's right and do what is safe. So I'd like to talk about that for a moment. We had at the high school, the kids wanted to do a walkout. Instead, we did something on campus. Tomorrow, on the anniversary of Columbine, the students want to walk out again. I don't think they're just trying to get out of class. I think they're trying to tell you that they don't feel safe, that they don't have the confidence that you guys, that we can keep them safe. I know as a teacher, there's absolutely nothing I can do in my classroom to keep these kids safe, okay, if someone were to come through my door. I have asked in the wake of Sandy Hook for stronger doors. I was told that they were coming, okay, for devices to be put on the doors, something to help protect the kids. Nothing has been done, despite some of the school board members also asking for that to happen, which I appreciate, okay? I don't understand why it's taking so long. I have been told that we don't have the money. Years ago, we went to the public for Measure S. Along with other teachers, I manned the phone banks. I repeated what I had been told by our former superintendent, as well as others there, that when we call the parents, we're to tell them this is not just about a football field. This $50 million is not about a football field. It's about improving the safety of our schools. It's about doing deferred maintenance. It's about improving technology, okay? And I haven't seen the expenditures coming to improve the safety of our school. I'm wondering if this is why teachers and students are sending the message that they don't feel safe, okay? And I think with the walkouts, that's the message that we're getting. And with teachers addressing a letter saying, if this is a priority for the district, then I will attend. So I'm asking you to please do something to ensure the safety of the students and the faculty at the high school. Thank you.
I'd like to make a statement on behalf of my colleagues up on the board. The trustees and I acknowledge your thoughts, and we will take them very seriously into consideration as we move through this next phase of the negotiation process. We want to remind the public that we emphasize 3 district values that guide our efforts with the negotiation process. They include the following: the quality of our overall instructional program, the short and long-term fiscal solvency of this district, along with the ability to offer a competitive compensation package to all of our employees. The board wants to emphasize our confidence in Dr. Young's leadership and the strong management team which has been assembled over the past 3 years. The board will continue our commitment to operate as a strong governing board. We are doing outstanding work in our district in the many, many areas, and we believe, as Dr. Young has emphasized, through the training for fair share bargaining provided for both the trustees and the BTA members, that there is a more positive and productive way to bargain employee compensation. So this process lines up with the rest of the high quality work that is taking place in this district. We will continue our commitment to work in close partnership with both of our employee units. Excuse me, I lost both employee bargaining units and our management team. Understanding that we are in the midst of challenging negotiations due to the events around the country and the court cases coming up, I am hoping that everyone will stay focused with us on taking care of our work at hand and doing what's best for our students and our staff. Thank you. I'd like to call for a motion regarding acceptance of the consent calendar. Yeah, I know, it's coming. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered by the board to be routine and will be approved by the board in one motion. There will be no discussion on these items unless members of the board, staff, and public request specific items to be pulled and discussed. So at this time, I'd like to ask for a motion.
Move approval of the consent calendar as presented.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Do we need a roll call?
Roll call.
Due to resolution 17-18-18.
Thank you. And Mrs. Jensen, would you do a roll call, please?
President Ferrucci?
Yes.
Trustee Holguin?
Yes.
Trustee Morgan?
Yes.
Trustee Wing?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, up is the first discussion item, which is the Sunshine proposal for 17-18 negotiations between Benicia Unified and CSEA. Dr. Gill?
The District for Education Code must publicly disclose negotiation proposal prior to commencing negotiations with the California School.
Can we pause for a second until we get the.
Sure. The District for Education Code must publicly disclose negotiations proposals prior to commencing negotiations with the California School Employees Association, CSEA. The current collective bargaining agreement between Benicia Unified School District and CSEA Chapter 1096 expired on June 30th, 2017. By contract, the entire bargaining agreement is open this year. Below the articles that are sunshined by CSEA and BUSD. Paul Gibbons is going to read the articles from CSEA and then I'll read the articles from BUSD.
Thank you very much. My name is Paul Giddens. I'm here on behalf of Andre Finn, who couldn't be here tonight. I'll just start reading. Article 5, CSEA seeks to remove restrictions to union steward investigation process. Article 8, CSEA seeks to incorporate Level 2 filing deadlines and clarify committee meeting deadlines. Article 9, CSEA seeks fair and equitable pay. CSEA seeks overnight trip pay solution. Article 10, CSEA seeks fair and equitable medical cap contribution. CSEA seeks to clarify language regarding vision service dates. Article 13, CSEA seeks fair and equitable work break allotment. CSEA seeks to make earned compensatory time immediately accessible. Article 14, CSEA seeks to expand definition of immediate family. CSEA seeks to streamline call-in procedure. CSEA seeks fair and equitable personal business day allotment. CSEA seeks to update parental leave provisions. Article 16, CSEA seeks to reduce the number of years required to accrue vacation and prorate years of service for part-time employees. Article 20, CSEA seeks to remove language that would discourage safe working conditions. Article 21, CSEA seeks to establish annual calendared first aid and CPR training. Article 23, CSEA seeks to commemorate verbal warnings for employee records. And that's it.
So BUSD sunshined one article, that's Article 6, review the evaluation article and revise the evaluation form.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Okay, next under the discussion item is discussion and report on the mid-year elementary benchmark data and progress monitoring. Dr. Beeson.
Good evening. Several times a year, we monitor and then come and report on our student progress, both on our statewide testing and on our local benchmarks. last board meeting, Stephanie Rice, our coordinator of Ed Services, reported on secondary, and tonight she will be here reporting on our elementary progress on our local benchmarks. 2 different meetings because of quarters versus semesters and when things are completed. And so we are proud to present some great growth and some next steps for you.
All right, good evening. I'm Stephanie Rice, Coordinator of Ed Services. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board, executive cabinet, teachers, parents, and students, if you're still here. I am here to present part 2, which is our elementary data. I may zip through some of the slides as I presented on them the last time, but this lens is for our elementary. All right. Just to recap, all of our work that we do here in BUSD is grounded through our vision, and that's where all students achieve at their highest potential in an engaging, inspiring, and challenging learning environment. And what I spoke on last time was that was the big idea, and it was, the metaphor I used was a funnel. So we have our vision, which then funnels down into our WIGs, our wildly important goals, which also funnels down to our LCAP. And I'm going to focus on goal 1 tonight, which encompasses professional learning, social and emotional wellness, and college and career readiness. Again, I attached to this presentation, if you would like to look further, these documents go into data points per grade level, per site. Also, the bottom progress monitoring documents, just to recap, the first one, progress monitoring document, is the red, yellow, green chart that we've shared several times. Green meaning has been accomplished, yellow in progress, and red meaning not yet. And then we also have the BUSD LCAP progress report, and that's going to have our hard data, the percentages, the numbers, but just to refresh that that's lag data as things come in. All right. So I'm going to start with ELA, and on a positive again, we have consistency across the district in our benchmarks. Our kindergarten first grade for English language arts gives the DRA, Developmental Reading Assessment, and then we have FMP, which is our Fontes and Pinnell. And I'm going to jump to the graph. Our first grade in DRA, now DRA and FMP are reading-based assessments measuring fluency, accuracy, and comprehension. And in first grade in DRA, we increased across the district in meets and exceeds from 68% to 74%. And also on the other end of the spectrum, our red, or limited understanding, went from 18% down to 14%. So that's a celebration. Okay. And then we have our kindergarten first grade student group story. So we've been looking at our African American student group, our socioeconomically disadvantaged student group, our students with disabilities, and our English language learners, because those were groups that we identified as having significant achievement gaps compared to our whole. And students who are African American in kindergarten actually at our overall average are outperforming the overall in kindergarten. And in first grade, they increased by 10% in meets and exceeds. Our students with disabilities increased from 32% to 35% in meets and exceeds. And our students who are socioeconomically disadvantaged also increased. Something that we're watching in an area of concern still is our EL students. There was a decline. It was a very slight decline, but a decline. So we're looking into that, and I'll talk about that more later. And also, even though our special ed students are showing growth, there's still a significant achievement gap between our average and our students with disabilities. For a second. And I'm going to click, let me click back and show this one for a second. Thank you. All right. Our 2nd through 5th grade give the FMP, the Fontes and Pinnell. And overall, we've showed steady growth and performance. We had an increase in meets and exceeds from 66% to 73% overall 2nd through 5th grade in our district, and also decreased in our approaches and limited understanding from 34 to 27%. Still battling the clicker, so I jumped ahead, sorry. I will overcome it. All right. I know. So our 2nd through 5th grade student groups that we are keeping an eye on, our African American students improved in meets and exceeds in our 2nd through 5th grade. Our students with disabilities maintained in meets and approaches, but did decrease in exceeds, so we're looking into that. And then also, our students who are socioeconomically disadvantaged in EL increased in exceeds, but also increased in the limited understanding, so we moved like this. So we're keeping an eye on the students that have moved into the red, but also what's going on to move them higher in the green. Jumped again. Sorry. All right. So math. Math, K-5, we have everyday mathematics. And in kindergarten, they have come together and created their kindergarten assessment that's given across the district. And that was due to everyday mathematics having a one-to-one teacher-to-student assessment every trimester. So they came together and created that. And then 1st through 5th gives the everyday mathematics assessment provided by your curriculum. And I'm proud to say that the overall scores have stayed steady with an increase. 85% overall are meets and exceeds across the district. Now, with that said, there's higher scores and lower scores, but overall we're at 85%. And all grade levels across the district are performing at 70% or above. That's within the K-5 scope, yes. So I attached the data per grade level too, and if you have questions on that. So our student group story. Grades K through 4th, English language learners increased in meets and exceeds in mathematics. In grades kindergarten through 3rd, students with disabilities increased in meets and exceeds. One concern we're going to look into is our students with disabilities still have a significant achievement gap, even though they're making the growth. So we want to keep them on our radar at 63% compared to the overall 85% average. Our African American students improved in grades kindergarten, 1st, and 3rd. A concern is our socioeconomically disadvantaged students decreased or stayed the same in all grade levels. So again, we work on what are we doing? And I discussed this at our last meeting, but something new to the list that we discussed when I presented high school and middle school is that we're looking into doing learning walks. And something really important in Benicia Unified is to be unified across the district in what's going on in elementary, middle school, and high school. And the start of this will be a focus on the shift that we've made in kindergarten through 8th grade in English language arts in the workshop model. So we are bringing together high school principals, middle school principals to start, and department chairs to come visit a 4th, a 5th grade, a 6th grade, and an eighth grade classroom to experience this shift that the teachers have made with the students in workshop. And in turn, that will be the start so that then we can also bring elementary principals up to see the middle school and middle school principals up to see the high school, so we can just start connecting it across our district. We also are looking into doing more work on culturally responsive teaching. And in our last professional development day, Brianna and Melissa led a book club on culturally responsive teaching in the brain. And that has since gone on, and the teachers and administrators have met to continue to talk about this book. And then we also brought it into District Curriculum Council, and there's several members on that team starting to read that book as well and starting to have discussions. So that's also a new lens. Another thing is with our instructional coaches in elementary, we're going to utilize an instructional coach to continue working with our elementary teachers with a particular focus on workshop, but also to start connecting and working with our middle school teachers, starting with our 6th grade, having that knowledge of where they're coming in right away and being able to give the insight to our 6th grade teachers of where they're coming in so they can just take off. So I think that will be very powerful. And in turn, utilizing the BMS math coach to work with our elementary teachers also on making that connections of the mathematics going on in elementary and where they're going in the middle school. We're working on improving our benchmark alignment. We'll have some reflection at our LCAP content collaboration days, starting with our elementary sites coming up, reflecting on the benchmarks that we're using, talking about the picture that it's giving us, and if there's anything that we can do to improve. We're also going to work on the CASP alignment through item blueprints. We've had a team work on that, I think I shared last time. So that work will be worked through with all the teachers in elementary at our content collaboration days. We're going to continue our affiliate work with Teachers College. Currently, they're working with 3 sites, our Title I sites, Robert Semple, Mary Farmer, and Benicia Middle School. But we're looking at also having a homegrown model utilizing our coaches and some teachers that have been trained through New York to go ahead and bring this also into Matthew Turner and Joe Henderson so that they can receive this training and support as well. And then we're also having a team of our team of coaches support our teachers through providing support with the F&P assessment for this 3rd trimester. It's also going to be a form of calibration to train the group of teachers to go through, make sure everybody's on the same page with assessing, and also to be able to provide support to our teachers in doing this method of assessment as well. So that is where we are so far in Benicia Unified. And any questions?
Any questions on the board?
Thank you for the updates and appreciate the insights on where we have challenges and where we can develop.
You're welcome. And I just want to say how much I appreciate the regular information that we're getting now on our student successes. So thank you. Okay. With that said, it's time to move on to our non-consent item, which is an action item, and in regards to our contracts for Mary Farmer and Robert Temple. Okay, this is
Good evening. So we went to bid for Mary Farmer. Our most current project is the fire alarms for Robert Semple and Mary Farmer. I'll give you a little bit of history on it. We went to public bid, went through the advertising process. We had 3 contractors successfully pre-qualified. We expected all of them to bid. They all expressed interest, said that they were going to bid. On the day that bids were due, we only received 1 bid. It's high market already. I mean, we feel pretty good about we're at the same time of year we normally bid and everything, but with so many bonds passed, there's just a high demand. The other two contractors had accepted work recently, and they didn't feel that they had the work support for workers to be able to do our work. So the bids came in high. We have one bidder for both schools. They were 40% plus above the engineer's cost estimate. And looking at the bids, we said, we did post-bid interviews with all of the contractors, even the ones who did not bid. And we said, what can we do to make this better, to get a better value for the district? And the suggestions were to break it down so that instead of awarding to both schools at once, you awarded to each school independently. If they had less workforce available, they may be able to bid that way. And then the second suggestion was to open it up to not have to be completed in the summer, that they could be more competitive because they don't have as many deadlines then. So the actions that we can take tonight that are coming to the board are you can either accept the bids that were received, which is the single one. You can choose to award it to either one or both schools, or you can reject all bids and rebid it. Staff recommendation is to rebid it. The other contractors did say that they expressed interest, and we believe that they'll bid. If you choose to go that way, we look to advertise them right away so that we get commitments now and not like in the fall we're going to start again. So that's where we are.
And then, I'm sorry, Roxanne, I have a question. So if we reject these high bids, you're going to go out and rebid, then what would the timing be for the schools? How much are we delaying this work? Because these schools really need these alarm systems.
So we would, essentially, what we're looking at is we would say that you must start work by October is the window that seems most reasonable, because they'll have finished most of their summer obligations, and to be complete by March. If contractors have the ability and can start earlier, we'll say go. So we're not going to say you can't start now, but that would be more the time frame that we feel would get better pricing, that they'll have more availability. It's more off season.
What would be the impact on students and staff during that time?
The construction would be during non-school hours. It hasn't been said exactly. I would talk with both schools, but in speaking with Alfredo and stuff, I mean, we could say things like, well, you can start at 4 p.m. You'd have availability from then until 6 a.m., but understanding they couldn't do work in any student-occupied spaces. So it might be like, oh, we have something going on in the gym, so they might come in and work in non-gym spaces. We also talked about having the biggest impact to the school is going to be cleanup, and it's going to be so critical because all of their work is above the ceilings. It'll be so critical that every night they come get their cleanup done. So I spoke with maintenance and Alfredo and their teams and said, we need a backup plan. We can't have like, oops, the contractor missed this room and everybody shows up in the morning and it's an issue and this huge impact on our classrooms. So maintenance thought it was a realistic goal that they could come every morning and do a walkthrough to make sure that all the cleaning was done. And we can write into the contract that we don't want it to be like a fail-safe. Oh, Mr. Contractor, you don't have to be responsible. So when we find rooms that were left improperly cleaned, we'll have it written into the contract that there's a fee charged back to them for every time it occurs. In talking with some of the contractors who said they would come back and bid, they did share stories of they've done this at other schools successfully. They understand the criticalness. And so one of my thoughts would be in this pre-qualification process. So contractors who are already pre-qualified, unless we change the rules for what you have to do to be pre-qualified, would not necessarily have to submit to re-qualify. But if we chose to, we could add an additional layer, or we certainly could call the schools that they've worked with and done this type of work to be sure, did you have problems? You know, okay, this is the contractor story and what they portray, and it seems like it was okay, but just to get a check, like a reality check, was this really, if it works out well, then I would say that I think it would be a great kind of plan for the district going forward with the other schools. We have the other fire alarms in the design process, so as soon as we have DSA approval, we could start rolling them out for bid, and that way we're lined up well in advance as people's availability becomes. There's just so much bond work and there's so much construction right now everywhere. People are seeing escalations across the board. The comparisons we have, they're seeing more escalations straight up on just like modernization projects or overall construction. The fire alarm projects, they're seeing some rate raises, but it's not straight across across the board. On the other hand, I've talked to people and they're having things where they got no bids. So they were like, well, you did really good to get that many people at your bid walks. And we certainly made the phone calls. What can we do better? How can we, what's the best deal that we can get? But we need to still keep going and understanding that.
So your recommendation is we bid it again later in this school year so we can get more vendors there and then give them a little more time so they don't have to do it. I think doing it during the summer is driving costs up.
Yes.
Booked out because labor, they're just not there. So if we push it out, just a quick summary, to somewhere around October, it's not, the greatest time to do it when school's in session. Hopefully they can make some allowances and not do it when school's in session or do workarounds with the hope that it'll save us, money. So we're not paying to, get this cranked out in the summer.
And the pros and cons, obviously we have no guarantees how many people will come back and rebid. Like I said, we did phone interviews with contractors and they did express that if we rebid, they would bid. So again, that's no guarantee, but it sounded like, okay, you got to do your research and what can you do, and basing your decisions on best information available. So that's how we got to where we are.
Ms. Egan, what do our, clearly we're not going to get to our original estimates. So what have our engineers suggested would be a reasonable re-estimation of the costs of these projects, since it's all bond funded?
So there's a couple of things that can help us out there, actually. So one thing I did do is I called the contractor. The low bidder is a contractor they were low bidder for the high school and the middle school. We've had success with them. And I asked them, what can you do to bring down cost? There are some considerations that we could do for value engineering without rebidding, but that's the lowest cost that I brought to you.
Right.
They did things like, well, if we, they gave us 3 options. One of them was, we don't do any repairs, blah, 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 your in-house maintenance does it. And that just is not a viable answer. It's going to be nonstop. They're going to go damage things and say, you guys go fix it. And it's going to be a never ending battle. So I didn't even bring that cost savings to you in the suggestions. The other 2 I brought to you because I think, one of them was if they could start right away. And then another one was if they could have a little bit extra time. We have certain constraints of which we can make adjustments without rebidding. And so those are the revised numbers that I brought to you. As far as the engineers' estimates and things that they thought we could do, the discrepancy in estimate and also in talking with the engineer and then with the contractor, their estimates didn't build in an allowance for crunch time, for compressing it. And the contractor, when I said, why was your bid so high? So they don't have a lot of workers available, but they are talking about working, overtime, weekends to try to get things done. So their suggestions were separated. So you have 2 schools. So then you don't have as much demand. And it might be that somebody who has not enough availability to do both schools may be able to bid one. Those are kind of the best thinking that came to us.
Right, I understand that. But I have multiple projects and I'm in the same position in another arena. And one of the things I had to do was go back to my engineers for estimates of what was reasonable to be looking for, because the cost of labor has gone up due to all the bond measures, due to all the fires and all the reconstruction that's going on. So the cost of labor is going to be higher no matter what. Yeah. So in order to get projects off the ground, we need to go back and re-estimate what is reasonable in the current climate. Mm-hmm. That gives us the opportunity to then see what the impacts are longer term.
I will circle back around with them. So I don't have the answer to that. What we did review in looking for suggestions for this was that he said he felt the prices were high, our engineer did, and he said that he recommended that we rebid it. So I think that's the short term for this. I think the bigger picture you might be talking about is, well, we have more work to do, and how do we have only so much money and more work than money, and so how do we be sure that we get there? A couple of opportunities that have came up so that we keep doing what we can, and there's no guarantees, but I did learn of some additional Proposition 51 programs. So we applied for, our overall program, and then we applied for CTE. We found a seismic program that we're applying for that we can put into the middle school. There is another one that we just learned of, and it doesn't take away monies of your other applications, but it would add a new one. And there could be potential for some of our fire alarm work that it would fall within. And so currently I'm going through that research and submittals and trying to get the documentation for it. So that's something that could help us with some of these overages. It's kind of a tangential, and there are no guarantees, but just today I met with PGE, and they also were sharing some programs for energy saving stuff that could help supplement our Prop 39 monies and be an additional source of money. So we're working to find all the resources we can to make our monies go farther.
Thank you. I know it's tough right now.
Yeah.
So basically, your request is for us to pass a motion to reject these bids and allow you to go back and reopen them. Is that correct? Yeah. Okay, so before we take a vote, is there any other discussion or questions for Roxanne from the board?
My only concern is, if we're going to throw it on swing shift or, is noise for our neighborhoods.
So I'm sorry.
I don't know if they start at 4 and get off at midnight, or if they're going to, we threw out their option of working all night, which is, Bachman and Woody, for instance, is a union contractor, and I don't know if it's electricians are going to use or sound and comm guys, but there's a swing and graveyard shift, which is anywhere from 17 or 32% more for the off shift, so I don't know. I like to see the new numbers and see how they plan on, whoever gets it, plan on manning the job and with who. And then talk about not only safety of our schools as they're going to be in and out of rooms and stuff, but noise and our neighbors.
So I can bring you the new numbers when we have them, but I don't have anything to bring unless we decide to go to rebid or not.
I think.
To talk a little bit about your other things, one thing that I think is a good noise, absolutely. So we can write into the contract, no noise. The city has noise policies. I think their hours are 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. It's great that most of the work is indoors, so it's not going to, we can certainly say you have to comply with noise things, and they're doing testing or whatever. It's obviously not allowed in the night. Most of their work, it will not be, most of it is indoors. And so we can make it so any exterior work is during allowable noise hours that comply with the city standards.
Yeah, that's just all question, because, I work in a hospital and we do a lot of work at night where they're still yelling down the hallways and, roller hammering and, going through adding supports, and that's, then you got your vehicles and you're eating lunch in your back of your truck and you're backed up against a house that's, up against the property. And
one thing that we've started doing is utilizing a independent person who is in the industry, but he is there frequently, eyes on, and really acting on he's IOR. Well, he's in addition to our IOR, because our IOR isn't there enough that I feel like he really has all of those controls. I mean, he does, he has certain inspections he has to hit, but he's not necessarily there to say, stop making noise or be quiet, or you left some dirt over here. So we've been working on some other stuff, utilizing a vendor who helps be around frequently. And I have spoken with him, and he did say that he would help to provide some of those support things. So he's not working for the contractor, you know what I mean? He's there as a representative for the district to help us have more eyes and ears on the field.
How long would the installation be if it went normal working hours on site? Is it a 2-month, 8-month, year project? What is it?
So this was bid with both schools together, and we said you can start right now in off hours in May with completion through September, the end of September, and they felt that was too tight. So I asked people, I said, well, if we did this, if you start no later than October, can you be done by the end of February? And they said yes. Granted, there are holidays and stuff in there. So I was trying to set, to me, I would rather set an expectation and be able to meet it or be done early than like you missed it. And even if we're done mostly and they have to do a little bit of punch list items, I still consider that a success. But trying to set a realistic expectation to come within. So I don't have, until I get everybody's breakdown of how much are you going to man it, how many people are you going to throw on this, what are you going to do, I don't have the exact number. I did just a general survey with people and said, if I gave you this much time, can you get it done? And they said yes.
Would that be both schools, October to February?
So that's what we would bid it. And so again, it would award to each school individually. And so then as the bids come in, that means it could be different contractors at each school. But as the bids came in, we could choose, yes, we're going to go with one. You can choose to award one and not the other. So we can make that decision. But yeah, it would say both of them go during the same time frame.
I was just wondering if we couldn't project manage it also to help by, you know, if they needed to be in one classroom for a day to get that, could we give them that classroom? Could you project manage it on a rolling basis throughout the school so that they can help us keep the cost down? To allow them access during the school hours by project managing sections of the
closing a portion of time.
It would be more than just one room. It would be a bank of 4 or 5 rooms at a time.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's worth exploring with them or letting them propose. But
well, and like when we did work at the high school, part of the bid was, so before we went, I met with Sean and Brianna, and I said, there's spaces that you guys don't use every day. Give me a list of them. And so they said there was some of their lounges that don't, you know, they could give up for a week or whatever. And so I included those in the gym, and I said, you guys can do work in these spaces during the day. I need like a week's advance notice because we'll let the sites keep using them until you're working in there, and then we'll shut them off. And we did that. I think it helped us get more competitive bids. When the reality came, they chose not to start them. They wanted to throw all their man force at it and get everybody out there at once. So it's really up to them how they, but I can certainly, good suggestion.
Save a couple $100,000. It seems to me we should try to be as flexible as possible.
Yeah.
In that bid also included maintaining the current system while they're doing that, and then them doing all the demo of the current system after completion.
Yes, so correct.
But the district doing the repairs of painting and
no. Well, I mean, I'm sorry, the current bid or the
new bid.
If we rebid it, so our standard is that both systems remain active during construction. So there's, until you get to the very end when they're taking the old one, you know, it's a small amount of time, but you have an active system working during the construction. They are responsible for doing the demolition, meaning that exposed conduit, they take out, my hesitation is that in some schools, there are some existing things above the ceiling, and if you take them down, you may impact other systems. So they are not necessarily taking out all the old conduits in the ceiling because they might support more than just that system. Correct. But generally, yes, they're taking out the old system. They're responsible for all their patching and repair of the work. They're doing all of it, yeah.
Public? Whoop, sorry. Okay, as long as there's no other comments or questions from the board, I'm going to open it up to comments or questions from the audience before I move for our call for a vote. Anybody have any comments or questions? please come to the podium.
I'm Melissa Phillips. I was wondering, was this an open bid by hours? How was the bid set up for you to be able to analyze how to save money? Did they have to show, I do bidding and I do construction, so I'm kind of familiar, but I just want to know how was the bid, how did they present their numbers? Lump sum?
Lump sum.
Okay, so you probably could get a large savings by, how many hours did they actually put into OT, off hours, regular daytime hours?
Can you direct your comments to us, please? Because that's okay.
Stand over there, please. No, sorry. So what I was saying is that based on looking at actually the way that they present their numbers, you'd be able to have a lot more visibility of how you could save it or how you could restructure the next rebid to get better numbers from them. And then the competitive market, I was wondering if it was one line product or was it open bid product? I said it to them. I was just looking for you for the answer.
I believe it's going to be a one-line product because we want to have the same name product throughout the whole district, not one brand over here, another brand over there, and then 10 years from now we can't, yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah,
we're going to match product that we just did the middle school and high school with.
Okay. Yeah, those were my the 35% is generally an OT upcharge automatically. So the fact that they're 40% over, 5 is probably maybe the increase, and the 35 is that they're bidding it all on OT. So that would be a huge cost savings to figure that out. And differential is not a 35% upcharge. It's generally more like 5 to 7, depending on the electrician or the branch of folks that you're using.
Thank you.
That was it.
Thank you for explaining. Okay. Anybody else have a comment or a question? Okay, I'm going to bring it back to the board. Can we have a motion to reject these bids for Mary Farmer and Robert Semple?
I want to make a motion that we reject all bids for the Mary Farmer, Robert Semple fire alarm upgrade projects and put it out for a rebid for a different time frame.
Okay, second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes. Thank you. Okay, thanks, Roxanne. Okay, with that said, I'd like to thank everybody for participating this evening in our board meeting. We will move on and we'll talk to everybody at our next agenda. Thank you very much. Have a great evening and